Greetings and salutations from me and my buddy over here, Mr. Frogsworth. Hope you all are doing good tonight. And if you're out there, sign in on the chat bar. And let me know you're out there. Groovy? Groovy. And tonight, we're going to be talking about the acoustic guitar. I called it acoustic, what did I call it? Acoustology. No, guitarology. Acoustic guitarology. Yes, that's what we're doing here. So welcome. Like I said, if you are out there, please sign into the chat bar. Let me know you're there. And I'm going to go online here now and invite some folks over. Invite some folks. Let's see, come here now. And I'm going to share. Bam. Sharing. Share to a group. Hey, George. All right, man. It's me and you, bro. All right. So I'm just doing my usual sharing here. And let's see. Let me turn my sound off. Good. That's better. Okay. There and there. And just doing some sharing. George, I hope you're doing good, bro. And we'll see who else comes on tonight. So this might be just a private get-together, but I'm sure there'll be more people checking in. Let's see, there. Not there, but there. Yes, there. Sure, why not? Yeah, there. Yep, let's see, I'm going to share there. And we're getting a nice taste of spring going on here in the Northeast, so that's nice. Hey, Jose, all right. Welcome, bro. All right, I'm just inviting some more people here, and we'll see who we get. And let's see, there. Bam, bam, bam. And part of what I'm going to be talking about tonight is a lesson that I did for PremierGuitar.com. I hope you all are hip to that magazine. One of my good friends, Jason Shadrick, is one of the main people there. He's the guy that I deal with exclusively pretty much there. And it's great. I love writing stuff for their online magazine. It's so hip. It just covers everything. It's very cool. And yeah, so we were talking about that since the pandemic, so many acoustic guitars have been sold, because people are home and whatever, and they're and if they're like straight up musicians, they're not on the road, so they're probably not setting up their rigs, and they want to play, and so they're buying acoustic guitars. And people that have played in the past and now are home with time on their hands, they are picking up an acoustic guitar, and trying to get some stuff happening, So I thought that tonight what we could do is we could talk a little bit about the acoustic guitar and what can you do with the acoustic guitar. And as you know, I'm pretty much a fan of acoustic instruments, although I love my Tele. My Telecaster is a beast unto itself. It's a whole other thing, the Plank. And I love that guitar too. But, pretty much everything else that I own has some acoustic thing to it. So the guitar I'm using here is a Martin D35. And the D35 is sort of the go-to bluegrass guitar. So this sort of became the go-to bluegrass guitar. I think, again, I don't profess to be a guitar historian or a music historian, just a fan, guitar fan. And so what I, read up when I was looking to buy this, because I was playing that at that time in a band that I had just started playing with called the Bandolins. And that was my good friend Doug Spalding and his whole family, and John Capalbo, great banjo player. And so we were, I was starting to play serious bluegrass. And so I wanted to get a serious bluegrass guitar. So I asked around and looked around, and they said the D35 is the guitar. And the reason why this appealed apparently to bluegrass guys is that it has a big giant sound, a big tone. It's easy to play. It's easy on the fingers and the hands, and sounds great and projects terrifically. And it's not as expensive as, say, like a D28. And I was like, well, what's the difference? And so the big difference is the back. So, and again, I don't know how true this is, but this is what I heard from people and read online, that they were making D28s and they were running out of wood for the backs of the guitars. And I don't know if it was because of import problems or because of World War II, or I really don't know why, but I read and heard that there was things where they didn't have the same amount of wood to do these backs, and so they started filling in another piece of wood into the back, and they were selling them cheaper than the D28, so it became an alternative guitar to that guitar. And so I really like this guitar. It's 14 frets to the neck, which is very common for acoustic guitars. And again, this has a big, sort of a full range. But it doesn't have a sort of a boomy bottom end, which is good because, basically the bass player is going to be playing the bottom end, and in bluegrass it's usually a string bass, and so they're really low. And so this kind of like punches right through the middle. It doesn't compete with the mandolin, and certainly nothing competes with the banjo, which can cut through anything. And as guitars really, well, of course they were always popular, but as far as like guitars being in large orchestras, that was pretty much the job of the banjo back in the early days of big band. Was the banjo would be in a big band, and that was because the banjo can cut through the rest of the band. But later on, as big bands became more refined, and especially like in Count Basie's band, Freddie Green came in, and he was playing a big giant Stromberg guitar, archtop guitar, unamplified, and cutting through barely. And so these guitars, I mean, to me, I like that I didn't get the cutaway and the electronics, although this does have a Fishman pickup in it, but it didn't come with all like the gouges and holes and things stuck in it. And I think that the sound really changes when you cut it away. Now some people might like that sound or not like that sound, but for me, I sort of like the non-cutaway acoustic sound. And so I see that, Jose and George, you guys are in the chat bar. I hope there's more people watching. Come on to the chat bar and let me know who's out there. And my first question to you guys is, what acoustic guitars do you guys have? What are you playing? Like, what acoustic instrument do you own? So weigh in on the chat bar and let me know what you're playing. And if you haven't weighed in on the chat bar before, let me know where you're from. I'm always curious to see where people are logging in from. All right. And I know, again, that there's a delay. Let's see. Trudy's here. Hi, Doug. No guitar pick necessary. Would love to send you some WZRD guitar picks. Well, Trudy, thank you. And for those of you that don't know, Trudy is a DJ. And let's see, a Fender Redondo. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yep, who's that? Steve, right? Yeah, man. What's up? Okay, so Trudy is a DJ on WZRD, and that is in Chicago. And they're so nice there. They play my stuff, which is incredible. Thank you so much. And I tell you what, I play with a very particular guitar pick. This is a Wiegand pick, and they're really strange, and they cost like $10 a pick. You know, it's really nuts. But if you would like to send me some WZRD picks, I would be happy to, we can spread the love and I can share them out over the air. Would be great. Let's see. George Porto says that, oh, a Takamine flat top. All right. So, George, check me out. So, here. And also, I'm going to get into some styles and stuff. You know, it's just not going to be talking about the acoustic guitar, but also talking about what you can do with an acoustic guitar and how you make the acoustic guitar sound good. When I just want to make sure this is in tune, this one. I wasn't sure that I was going to play it, but now, George, since you have a Takamine, I'm going to tell you the story of my Takamine. And I'm sure that's not the right way you say the name, but that's the way I've always said it. Pure New Yorker pronunciation. Oh, Bill's here too. Hey, Doug, spreading the love too. Yes. All right, so these are my friends from WZRD, and so happy that you guys are here. Bill, you're like a regular fan. Love it, man. You're here every week. I totally appreciate it and dig it. So tune in. Because like you can listen to pretty much radio stations all over the world now. Just go to their website. Whoops. So, George, so check this out. Now, so here, this guitar is what they call a parlor guitar because it's tiny and you play it in a parlor. And so this guitar is not as loud as the 335, and you could tell it has a much different sound. So yeah, let's see. Here we go. How's it going, man? Gonna lurk while I work on tax stuff. Yes. I'm lucky, my friend, because my wife, Kathleen, she does my taxes. Yay, she's a former accountant, and so she does all my tax stuff, and she was actually working on it today. So yeah, man. Hope all is well with you. Yes. George, so this guitar was in Guitar Center, all right? And so it was used, and every time I went in Guitar Center, I would go into the acoustic room, and I would play it, you know, and I would go back there and I'd play it, and I'd be like, oh man, I love this guitar, right? And then I'd leave because I'd go like, I don't need another acoustic guitar, you know. I have a beautiful D35, and I'm not really a guitar collector. I'm just like a working stiff, and all my instruments are sort of like tools, you know. So that's, you know, that's what I'm doing. But then again, every time I went in there, I picked up the guitar. So finally, I went in there, and I was like, okay, I can't take it anymore. I am going to... I'm just going to buy this. I'm going to buy it. And so I wound up buying it. And the guitar, check it out, because you're not going to believe how much I paid for it. Look at the beautiful inlay on there. Beautiful, gorgeous inlay. And the back, oh my gosh. So beautiful. Look at that. Kind of like the D35, but super fancy. And nice tuners. You know, the tuners are closed back tuners. I mean, this is just a classy guitar. mahogany neck. What's weird is I'm assuming this is rosewood sides and back. I don't know what's in the middle. This looks like maple. It's all curly. And of course the spruce, the spruce top. And so, guess how much I paid for this guitar? Guess, I dare you. It was used. And it has no electronics. And that was a big issue with this guitar not selling. It was there for months. I would go in there and I'd play it all the time. And it didn't sell because you couldn't plug it in. It's just a true acoustic guitar. So somebody take a guess. What do you think I paid for this guitar? And this is from a music store. Not like getting it at a garage sale or, buying it off some guy in an alley. Take a guess. Trudy says $450. Says $100. I wish. I wish. Let's see. George said, mine is black and has an almost invisible small scratch. It was new, has electronics, but my friend with the music store gave it to me in trade for what? Steve's now up to $1,000. No, it's less than that. Jose says, currently I play a Yamaha with a cutaway at church. We did have a Martin D something before that, which I loved, but sadly was stolen. That's a story I've heard a million times. For IT work. Okay, so George, got the guitar in trade for some IT work. That's a great deal. So here's the deal with this guitar. $247. What do you think about that? There you go. $247. Oh yeah, I was playing Wave. Yeah. So that was something that I did want to talk about tonight. And yeah, I know. So this guitar I consider my little practice guitar because it's so tiny. I literally can sit on the floor in the living room and watch the ball game and practice. And it's quiet enough that it doesn't bother my wife, and so it's pretty cool. And I haven't done a thing to it. I don't even think I adjusted the neck on this. I mean, I just bought it and played it. And I wish all the guitars I own, I wish I could have played them as long as I played this before I bought them. But in this day and age, it's impossible. My D35 was an extremely scary purchase. So this guitar, you can hear immediately how much more open this sound is. Okay, so Trudy's asking me, how much do you practice every day? Well, I guess the answer is a lot. And it's for two reasons. Well, three, maybe four. No, but first of all, I love to play, and so that hasn't worn off yet for me. The love of playing, I still love to play. So that's one reason why I play a lot. Second reason, and a more practical reason, is I'm always preparing for something. All right, even during the COVID lockdown, I was doing live streams every week, which I still am. So every week I'm preparing for a show because I don't want to be one of those guys that does like the same thing every week. Like why are people going to constantly come back and watch if every week it's just the same thing, you know? And so I sort of challenge myself with repertoire each week. You know, my week starts on Sunday. So on Sundays, unless I have a gig, on Sundays I prepare for the week ahead where I do my newsletter, and also like this stream tonight, I have to set up an event. So I set up an event for the stream, and you know, and then I have to promote it, and I got to put all the links and do everything in my newsletter, and I come up with a list of songs. So then during the week, I'm practicing the list of songs that I need to play, and maybe also I'm doing an instructional video. So I need to prepare for that and play and get that right. Also, I could be doing something with a singer-songwriter where I'm working on tracks for him or her, and you know, doing some recording in my home and learning more stuff and doing arranging for that. I'm also very into arranging and have done probably more recordings with arranging than I've done with playing, believe it or not. And so yeah, there's a company in California called Vitamin Records, and for like 10 years I was doing a few albums a year of these string quartet tributes. Like I did a string quartet tribute to everyone from Metallica to Enya to the Dixie Chicks to System of a Down, you name it. I did like 33 records for them, and it was great. It was super. It was a great learning experience. It was a great money-making experience. And so yeah, so my hand is on the guitar all day, every day, learning material, shedding new stuff. You know, like I always, you know, a certain part of my day is always spent on YouTube, and because people will contact me and say, "Oh, check this out," you know, and so I'll check it out, and I'll be like, "Oh, I want to learn that." And so a certain amount of my day is spent like transcribing and learning stuff, practicing songs. You know, and basically working on stuff I'm not good at or that I need to get better at. And of course, now that I'm getting older, a lot of the work is just maintaining what I have, you know, basically sort of staying in shape and working on repertoire so that if I'm doing my Saturday night thing and somebody goes, "Oh, can you play Girl from Ipanema?" And I got to go, "Well, yeah," you know, because I've practiced it. You know, I've gone over my repertoire and stuff. So there's my long, super long-winded answer to do I practice? How much do I practice every day? So I would say hours-wise would probably be on average 4 hours a day, maybe minimum. You know, again, it depends on how busy I am. You know, sometimes I'm like doing stuff in the morning, doing stuff in the afternoon, and doing stuff at night. That can get to be a bit too much at my age. You know, I wear out my hand. So yeah, so there you go. So Jack, who is Mer Metal Bard, he said he paid more for that than a halfway. He paid more than that for a halfway decent Fender Acoustic Electric. Yeah, but the Fenders are not bad, you know. Again, I don't really. I'm not too much into brand names. I mean, although a brand does mean a certain something. You know what I mean? Like if you buy Fender, if you buy Gibson, you know, if you buy Takamine, if you buy Martin, you kind of know like what you're getting, you know. And so this was not an impulse buy, but it was an unnecessary. Oh, not this, that. If the Takamine was an unnecessary buy that I just did because I loved it. This guitar, oh, I know what I wanted to talk about on this guitar, was how scary it was when I bought this guitar. Because I bought this guitar off of eBay. And I was looking and looking for a D35. And so they were going from anywhere from like 2,000 to 3,000. And I'm talking about for old ones, you know. And I actually learned a lot that I actually didn't want an old one because in the 70s and before, all these guitars were made without a truss rod. So if your neck went out, you had to send it back to Martin for them to, you know, set the neck better. So I didn't want that. So I wound up looking for more modern ones. And so they were going in between $2,000 and $3,000. And then all of a sudden I found this one. And this one was like I don't know, $1,600 or something like that. And so I wrote to the guy, and I'm like, why is this guitar so cheap, you know? And he was like, well, because it'll never be collectible. And I'm like, well, why not? And he's like, well, when I bought the guitar, this guitar was built in 2000. So he goes, I bought the guitar in 2000. I brought it home and immediately decided I wanted to play electric. So I took the guitar, put it in the case, and put it under my bed and forgot about it for like 10 years, 15 years. He said, then I decided I wanted to play it again. I took it out, and there was a big crack over here because I had never done a humidifier in it, nothing. So I had to send it to Martin to get it fixed. You know, so there's a big crack here that's been repaired, and right over here, you can't see it, but there's a little blemish over here from where I think somebody with a router or something kind of slipped. So basically the guitar is not perfect, all right? And he goes, that's why I'm selling it for so cheap. It's a player's guitar, not a collector's guitar. And I was like, okay, well, I'm a player, you know, and the price is cheaper than anything I've seen. But I'm like, how does it play? And he's like, oh, it's great. And I was like, okay. And I said, look, I'm super interested, but man, to buy something without playing, it seems weird to me. Can we make a deal that I get the guitar and I get to keep it for a week? If I don't like it, I'll pay for the shipping to send it back to you, but you got to give me my money back. And to make a long story short, he said, okay. I got the guitar home. Thank God. I loved it. It was as advertised. The guitar is perfect. I don't have to do anything with it. It's got super low action. It's got the Fishman pickup. That's great. And so I got lucky, you know, because these days buying and selling guitars is bizarre, you know, because like you can hardly go into a store and get a guitar. It's almost all done online, you know, and it's super difficult, you know. So that's the story of the guitars. Now let's get on to like what can you do with these guitars? Because you know I called it Acoustic Guitarology, meaning that all these guitars, they lend themselves to different kinds of things, and the acoustic guitar is super versatile. You know, it's a great instrument. It's not just for, you know, which is great, you know. I mean, that's awesome, you know, Travis style picking. Now the cool thing about the Travis style picking is you're doing, you know, bass. You're doing bass and chords and single notes. Now I play with a hybrid style. So I use pick and fingers, which is sort of weird, but it fits me. I like doing it, and so I do that, right? So the thing about what I did in the article about acoustic guitar is that to be aware of chords and get cool chord voicings on the acoustic guitar. So a lot of people, you know, kind of get these kind of chord voicings, you know, but on the acoustic guitar, they go back to, you know, and there's more that you can do with voice leading on the guitar, and there's many songs that have great voice leading. So all this is A minor, A minor 7, D, D minor. But hear how different it sounds? A minor, D, D minor. But now you add in these inversions. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing A minor, And then I'm doing A minor in third inversion. And what that is, it's an A minor chord with the dominant 7 in the bass. Then when I go to my D chord, I'm doing my D chord in first inversion, which is a D chord with an F sharp, or the third, in the bass. And then this chord is going minor, so my third gets lowered to F natural. And you get this awesome, like now it's like a whole cool thing. And I think, what's that song? I can't remember. Dust in the Wind, right? I can't remember what the chord is after that, but you could see that there's a nice voice leading. You know, I close my eyes, right? C, G, A minor, but they go down. Root position C, first inversion G, root position A minor. Trudy said, sounds like Simon and Garfunkel. Yeah, absolutely. Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel. Man, they did so many stuff. Yeah, Jack is like, dust in the wind all the way. All they are is dust in the wind, yes. Yeah, there you go. All we are is dust in the wind. See, again, so that's that A minor over G, D over F sharp. So yeah, so you know, Led Zeppelin, yeah, Babe from Led Zeppelin, I'm Gonna Leave You, sure. Babe, 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 babe. I'm gonna leave you. Yeah. So all these little open position things are cool, and you can learn so much about chord inversions from just checking out those songs. Yeah, and Steve said Jimmy Page alternate tuning. I love using the Dad-Gad tuning, which is D-A-G, G-A-D. So, you know, instead of being E-A-D-G, this is D-A-D-G and then A-D. So it spells a big old what chord? Actually, I don't think it doesn't really spell a chord in the open tuning. But it's called Dad-Gad tuning. And yeah, you know, and I got a funny story about that, because I'm so old that I was around when Led Zeppelin came around the first time. And we were all trying to figure out what on earth Jimmy Page, how is he playing this? And I had no idea about alternate tunings. So I would be busting my fingers trying to figure out, you know, like how he did these songs, you know. Unbelievable. What a great, you know, that band was something else. They were so groundbreaking, you know, to be around in those days and to be hearing that stuff for the first time, especially in the context of other people, you know. Andy Stack. Yeah, there's a great guitar player for you right there. My friend Andy Stack. And he is living in New York State, I think, still, right, Andy? And a great singer-songwriter, straight-up pro player, studio guy, just everything, man. Yeah, Jimmy Page, you know. So much to learn, you know, from those artists, you know. And to me, living in Beacon, okay, cool. That's actually the super hip town to live in, you know, and it's kind of ironic. And when now we're going back maybe 40 years, definitely 30 years going back. my wife and I, we wanted to buy a house, and so we were looking around, and we actually looked in Beacon and decided not to buy in Beacon because the town was it was in bad shape then, and we were like, we're going to buy a house here, it's not going to have any value. And of course now, man, and he says, nice to hear you play this style. Thanks, man. It's not really my go-to thing, but for sure, I've done it, for many years. That's how I learned. And I actually just did a session with a sort of like a Frank Sinatra impersonator, and I had to do some song where I had to start. The song literally starts with acoustic guitar, and I can't really remember the chords, but I know that there was like the same note on top of every chord, So I wish I could remember what it was. It was like one of those kind of things, and. Jack said, "Oh, you mean like me in my freshman year?" Yeah, I was definitely into this stuff. That's what I grew up with, and I lived in I grew up in Yonkers, and it was a real melting pot. So there was everything from, of course, like the big artists of the day, Beatles, Stones, Led Zeppelin, all that stuff, but also the huge R&B guys. I mean, my gosh, like James Brown and all the big names, but also unknown guys like J.J. Jackson was really popular, and then local groups like the Young Rascals, were around then, and they were a big influence, and so I was, and then also, of course, where we lived was a huge Afro-Cuban and Brazilian and Mexican. And so, when I started playing, it's so funny, I started playing professionally at age 14, not on guitar, on drums. And every show that we played, we would play at dances. They were mostly church dances, high school dances, like the boys club dance or whatever. It was all these organizations. We would play their dances for teenagers. And we would always include a cha-cha, along with like Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix and the Temptations and James Brown and a cha-cha, and it was like it didn't seem weird to me. So I've always been a musical mutt, and by the time I was in my late teen years, I started to hear jazz. And when I heard jazz, I realized I had found my home, not just because of the swing, but because of the improv aspect, that I was so into doing my own thing that I would aggravate people, that like I just wouldn't play the song the same way all the time, So like if we're doing Honky Tonk Woman, well, I mean, I might not want to do that every time, I might want to do... They'd be, whoa, hey, and I'd be, what? And they'd be like, that's not how the song goes, And so when I got to jazz, that's where the nuttiness was approved, I mean, check out jazz recordings. There's recordings of songs. It'll be like All the Things You Are, right? And they'll never play the melody. You'll never hear the melody. And I'm like, what? So I had found sort of my place in the world was in the jazz world, but not just like swing ding ding, which I love, but all kinds of stuff, but just with that sort of mentality of improvising and doing your own thing, So, speaking of my own thing, so there's the whole, singer-songwriter, open chord, folk kind of vibe. And of course, I did the little bluegrass thing, right? And I think I did Wildflower. And bluegrass is super, Jack, all the things you aren't, true. The bluegrass thing is actually really hard. It's sort of like bebop without the deep harmonic nuttiness, because a lot of bluegrass are fiddle tunes, and the great bluegrass guitar players like Tony Rice and those guys, and Doc Watson, and on and on, they took fiddle tunes and put them on the guitar. And so it's no easy feat. And on top of that, when it's your turn to blow in a bluegrass band, there's not really anybody comping for you. I mean, the mandolin could be chunking, but it's like an octave higher than you are, and the fiddle could be maybe hitting some double stops. But really, in a bluegrass band, you're like the chordal guy, And so you got to learn how to play these melodies, but yet also have chords in them, 5 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord, 5 chord, bridge. So the bridge is G, B7, G, G7, C. It depends on who you're playing with. If you're playing with the bandolins, this song would be. It's fast. Doug Bolin. All right. Let's see. Hey, Doug. So another tremendous guitar player, Doug Bolin. And the bandolins. Yeah. D35 looks and sounds great. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it. Now, Doug is one of the ones that helped me with my D35. Doug is a tremendous acoustic fingerstyle guitar player, like straight up top A shelf guy. And oh, that's so funny. Foggy Mountain Breakdown. Foggy Mountain Breakdown. What's funny is, oh, Linda is here. Oh, man. I finally got in this room. So, Linda, what happened? Why couldn't you get in the room? So, Linda Rosenfeld and her husband, Dennis. I've known Linda since way before she was married. Way before anything. I knew Linda in junior high school. Linda, we knew each other. And we used to hang out on Troy Lane in Yonkers. And Linda Dolbeni's older brother, David, was my hero. David Dolbeni was a drummer, and he played in a great local band with his friends, and they practiced up on Troy Lane. And I was like, they couldn't get rid of me. I was just there checking them out all the time. Let's see. Oh, Linda said, I've been commenting, but they've been posting on Facebook. That's fine. It should also post here. So my Facebook posts are not posting here? Interesting. I just want to scroll up here and see if anybody on Facebook. Oh yeah, Andy's on Facebook. His posts are here. That's weird. Strange. I mean, it's fine that they're posting on Facebook. Oh, Linda, I understand what you're saying. People on YouTube can't see your posts on Facebook, but because I am on Restream, and Andy, you know about Restream, I'm sure. And so on Restream, I can see both. Yeah. So I can see your comments, Linda, and I can see everybody on on Facebook, but on Facebook they can't see YouTube, and on YouTube they can't see Facebook, which is a drag. Dave Mateo, do you play any fingerstyle stuff? Sure. Not well, but I do. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to arrive. Sorry, don't remember it. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life, you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Now this part. Blackbird fly, fly. I don't know. Blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night. I don't know. Little Blackbird. I could do. Dave's like, that's excellent. Thanks. Oh, Dennis's guess was $200 for the guitar. So if it was the price, he would be right. He would have won. That's right, Linda, because it was like literally $247 for this. For the little guy. Yeah. Blackbird is F, E minor, D minor. Nah, not for me. Blackbird is G, A minor, B minor, I guess, and then G. C, C sharp diminished, D, D sharp diminished, E minor. I tried to puzzle that out on piano and it sounded okay. Yeah, just in a different key, that's all. Yeah, in guitar they do it on G, you know. Then, nice, a little Jorma, yeah, finger picking, yeah. Gonna take a freight train down at the station, Lord. Gonna never come back. Take a southbound all the way to Georgia now, till the train run out of track. Can't you see? Oh, can't you see what that woman, she been doing to me? Now my brother-in-law, Ace Millen, some of you know my sister, Carol and Ace. And Ace taught me how to finger pick. This style, Travis picking. And one of the first songs that I learned on the guitar with picking was a song by James Taylor. Sunny sky sleeps in the morning. Doesn't know when to rise. He closes his weary eyes upon the day. Look at him sleeping, throwing his morning hours away. Still he knows how to ease down slowly. Everything is fine in the end, and you will be pleased to know Sunny skies hasn't a friend. Yeah. Just two chords. A major 7, E7 sus. Yeah. So, thanks, Dave. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I don't practice this, you know. It's sort of like my drum playing, you know. I don't own a drum set anymore. And I kind of almost have room down here for a teeny tiny drum set, but I haven't pulled the trigger because if I do that, then I'm going to have drummers down here for my live streams. And it's not that I don't want to, but I play so much gypsy swing stuff. To add a drummer, it's just financially, it's rough. I wish I could. As a matter of fact, I'm actually. I've had a record ready to record, but with COVID and just the general condition of the music industry, I just didn't see any sense in putting out a record. But things are starting to open up. I'm getting some gigs happening, and there's some new opportunities sort of presenting themselves where I think that it might make sense to release another record, because you certainly don't release a record these days for the money that you're going to make selling the records. It's just not going to happen. You're going to make your money playing gigs, and you're going to spend money to get airplay and to get reviews, and those things are really for people to like go and stream your stuff, and to subscribe and that kind of stuff, to kind of like follow you and subscribe with you and buy your merch and stuff like that. But you're not going to sell records and make a living selling records. And you're not going to get royalties from streaming that are going to be the same as the royalties that we used to get from like airplay and mechanical royalties from the actual selling of CDs. So that just doesn't happen anymore. So to justify making a record, to me, I have to at least like break even. Like I got to be able to like keep going. Not that I'm just going to like, I'm going to drop 20 grand and make a new record and get all these great people to play on. It's going to be this fantastic record. And so what? Like, okay, great. So, but anyway, I'm thinking about doing another record now because things are starting to open up, and I got just a ton of tunes that I've been writing and sharing with you all online, and I'm really starting to get a feel for what like everybody likes, and like what are the cool tunes. So I think I'm going to pull the trigger and do it. My point being, I'm going to use a drummer, because like I hear, even though it's gypsy swing, I hear drums on the new stuff, and I want to get a drummer on it. And the shame of it is that then when we come to play in here, if I add a drummer, now like we're up to like 4 people. And so like, I'm just playing for tips on here, and I can't ask the guys to come and not pay them. So, like how much money can I bleed, And so the answer is not a lot, Let's see. Linda says, I have a 2003 Martin D28. Sounds better every day. What strings do you have on that Martin? Okay, so let me direct you all now. Oh, that's the wrong side. Let me direct you over here to this side of the screen, and you'll see I'm looking. There's a little labella symbol right over there. Labella. That's the string company that I use their strings. I have been an artist endorser of them for, oh Lord, I've endorsed their strings literally over 20 years, and so I'm using their acoustic strings on here. I use the silk and steel strings on my gypsy guitar. I use flat wounds on my jazz guitar, and I use their hard rockin' steel on my telly. Let's see, yeah, and Trudy said, is the sound fuller on vinyl? Well, the answer is yes, it is. But also the answer is it doesn't matter anymore, because everything is delivered digitally now. So even if you, like, I actually have a true vinyl record out. I have a record, oh Lord, where is it? I have a vinyl record that I made in 1986. And it was made all analog, it was made with like real tape, and there was no digital anything. And but these days, like say I don't know, say you record a record and you're going, I'm making a vinyl record. Yeah, well, it was made on Pro Tools, and also there's not very many audio files left with like, it's not just a nice a turntable. You need a tube amplifier, and you need like really big, nice speakers. And to me, it's like, music ain't delivered like that anymore. Doug Boland wants to know what gauge. I use light, and the reason why I use light gauge is because of the crack. It's a repaired crack, but I can feel it. It's never opened up again, But I go with the light strings so that this way I don't stress the guitar, and yeah. And so it's not as loud as it would be with the heavier strings. But again, when I need really loud, I either step closer to the mic. Like today, I'm using. You can't see it. Oh well. I'm using a blue. The company is Blue, and it's a large diaphragm. Whatchamacallit, Mike? A large diaphragm. It'll come to me. But it's sort of like a big ear, meaning that like if I get really close to it, it gets really loud. If I back up, it's quiet. And so when you're playing in the bluegrass group, you're playing your rhythm part, and then when you go to blow, you step up close to the microphone and you blow, and it gets louder. So the gauge of the strings is not really super important. Let's see. I need to get used to playing on light strings because my electric, I use 13s. Nice. Well, that's what I use on my jazz guitar. And remember, lights on here, lights are 12s. So these are not, they're not like 10s. Although that's what's on my gypsy guitar are 10s, because that's that sound on that instrument, So let's move on to another style. Oh my gosh, I've already been on for almost an hour, and I was saying there's no way that I'm going more than an hour tonight because I'm so long-winded, and I feel that after a while people kind of like space out and glaze out. But yeah. So what a different sound, huh? Yeah, Stevie Ray Vaughan played 13s. Yep. Yeah, there's a whole school on that. Theoretically, the thickest strings that you can stand with the highest action you can take will give you the best sound. But there's such a balancing act to everything. I have to say, when I was younger, I would play with heavier strings and I would muscle them around. As I get older and more arthritic, I'm more apt to play with lighter strings and be kinder to my hand a little bit. And so yeah, I think over time we change and evolve and try different things. But another thing that the acoustic guitar is so great for is bossa nova, Brazilian music. And you can hear what a difference between these two guitars. It's so, I hope it's coming through on, it's a condenser mic, that's what it is. A large diaphragm condenser mic. And the company is called Blue. Let's see. I tried playing a friend's electric and he had 8s and I could not play in tune. You grab a chord and the chord goes like, everything's bending. Yeah, I mean, and there's also things, such as string tension. You could play a guitar that has very low string tension and you're playing with a thick string and it feels lighter. You could play a guitar with very high string tension and you're playing with a lighter string, it feels heavier. So, it's there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. There's no right or wrong. But yeah, the sort of you can play this sort of stuff. It's nice. So it's I can remember the rains in December, the leaves of brown on the ground. You are correct. Yes, they were on the ground. Leaves of brown. I get around. Yeah. So you could play a lot of just a lot of different stuff with this guitar. Everything from that. Hot cinnamon and dynamite. That's what we drink each night. Back in Nagasaki with the fellas Judabaki and the women wicky wacky woo. The way they entertain, they could hurry a hurricane. Way back in Nagasaki with the fellas Judabaki, women wicky wacky woo. Fujiyama, you get a mama, then your troubles increase. And up the road under you all soda, earthquake, milkshake, 10 cents a piece. They hug you and kiss you nice. By Django, it's worth the price. Way back in Nagasaki with the fellas Judabaki, when the wicky wacky woo. Yeah. Then it says sometimes Dennis tunes down a half step to bend the G string easier. Oh yeah, there's many artists that all their stuff is E flat. Their open is down a half step for vocals, for bending, for all kinds of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. See, I did learn some things from Rep. Yes, sir. So in this Nagasaki, what's interesting, the ending, back in Nagasaki where the fellas Judabaki, the women wicky wacky woo. So what's happening here is G7 in third inversion, C in first inversion, E flat 6 or C minor in first inversion, C over D, D or D7, G. Back in Nagasaki where the fellas Judabaki and the women wicky wacky woo. So there again, inversions, let's see. My electric might be currently tuned to C standard. Wow. Yeah. So all these guitars, different sounds, but you can use them for so much. And something that you really need to fight for on your acoustic guitar is the playability up the neck. Because I can remember my grandfather had a beautiful old Harmony, but of course he never took care of it. I didn't know anything about anything. I was like, just a dumb kid. And so you could play it down here, but forget it. By the time you got up here, the string was like 8 miles off the fretboard, And so I literally, let's see, the Takamine sounds pretty good, but that's probably the player. Oh, Doug, please. Maybe some night I'll do something really different, instead of doing my usual jazz thing, and get Doug on here, because Doug and I have played gigs together. We've done duo gigs together, and he's an outstanding acoustic guitar player. That might be really fun to do. Let's see. Linda says, I have been using triads all over the neck. Such sound variety. Yes. Jose, so what did you like playing with your Ovation? Okay. So last week on the show, I took out the Ovation. If it wasn't last week, it was the week before. And it's an Ovation Adamus that my wife gave me almost 40 years ago. Actually, 40 years ago, she gave me that when we got engaged. And it's an interesting sounding guitar. It doesn't sound like anything else. And I used it for everything. That's what I did. Something really different proceeds to play Dragon Force. Yeah. So, it's that guitar, I played everything with it because, again, I never had a lot of money, so I never really had like a big collection. And a lot of times, what I had to sell. For example, I'm in the process of selling two of my guitars right now. I'm selling my Godin multi-act nylon string, and I'm selling my beautiful Del Art 503 Legend, which was handmade for me by John Kennard. And it's a beautiful instrument. But I have to sell both of them because they have large, long scale necks. And again, with my hand issues getting older, I'm much more comfortable on short scale, sort of like what you would call like Gibson scale, shorter scale necks. And so I bought I bought my DuPont, but in order to pay for that guitar, I had to sell the other two guitars to pay for that guitar. So yeah, I'm not, unfortunately, not really a collector. I mean, I still have the Ovation because that's a special gift that Kathy gave me, and so I could never sell. I could never sell that, So I keep it. I don't really play it much anymore because again, it's really old and it has all these leaf things here that like started like coming unglued and stuff, and so I didn't really want to take it out and wreck it and stuff, so I just keep it away. And every once in a while I bring it out and show everybody, and everybody goes like, whoa, Glenn Campbell. Yeah. So so we went through and we did like some gypsy, we did some folky stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can do a lot of stuff on here. I mean, I don't really know about like the funky stuff. I can say that like, I mean, you could, but I would say that I don't think I've ever really done that. But I've certainly, of course, done the bossa nova and the Afro-Cuban and the folky stuff and the fingerstyle and the jazz stuff and the gypsy stuff. I've done all that, on this guitar. And since we are in quarantine, and all you guitar players out there, you might want to like pull this out and take another look at it. And it's a great writing tool. It's a great entertaining tool. Entertaining yourself, entertaining your friends, and your wife or girlfriend or boyfriend, husband, wife, family. And it's really good. Back in the day, way back in the day. Me and my brother-in-law Ace and our friends, we would get together in his kitchen and we would play. I mean, literally, guys would have guitars. Other guys would play harmonica. Literally, I know you're going to laugh, but somebody would usually play spoons, to have some like percussion thing. And it was a great time. We played for our own pleasure, And in these COVID times, when you have your little COVID bubble of people that you're comfortable with, it's a good time to do this stuff. And so coming out of this, you'll see, and you've seen, much more acoustic guitar in popular music. And it's due to the COVID thing that people were shut away and they're writing on their guitar and playing their guitar and getting that sound in their ears and wanting to bring that sound out, and guitar mixes well, acoustic guitar mixes well with all kinds of pop music, and so I think that's pretty much all I have to say. And I want to thank everybody in the chat bar for joining in. And I want to apologize to those who maybe did, and I couldn't check them out. Doug Boland says kitchens have the best acoustics, which is true. Kitchens, hallways, bathrooms, best acoustics. And so thanks everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you're of a mind and you want to drop a penny or two into the tip cup, feel free to do that. If you are our every Saturday listeners, please don't drop a tip into the tip cup, because I'd rather use that money to pay for our guest artists that come up every weekend. And this weekend we got a great one, Ted Gott-Sagan, great, amazing gypsy style guitar player, mostly known for his accompaniment, his rhythm playing. He's just a force of nature. And he's also a great soloist, but his bread and butter is the comping. He's comped for the greatest gypsy guys on the planet, You're welcome, Trudy. I'm glad you liked it. Doug says hi to Kathy. Yes, I will. Doug Bowen, I will. I will. Linda, great seeing you. Just everybody. Jack, thank you. Jose, George, everybody. You know, Bill. That's right. Trudy, thank you, everybody. And don't forget to tune in on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to watch me and Ted. And you'll see I'm doing a bunch of new tunes. I challenged myself this week. So even though we're doing the gypsy stuff, we're going to do about a half dozen songs that I haven't done at all on any of the streams in the last year. So it's challenging, but it'll be fun. And I think that's it. So thank you. Thank you. God bless everybody and be well. And Steve, thank you. And we'll see you on Saturday, I hope. Okay, that's it. So let me see. I'm going to stop recording. Boop. And I'm going to stop streaming. Peace.